Hi everybody, my name is DavidLisker. Welcome to another episode of Simply Violin. Here in New York we're experiencing something that they're calling a bomb cyclone, which is essentially a very scary term for very cold winter weather, lots of snow, lots of wind. So in the midst of that, I thought it would be interesting to talk about how to warm up as a violinist. I think it's something that many of my colleagues and students often skip. A lot of times you jump straight to the etudes and straight to the pieces and things like that. And I think that that's actually a mistake. I think that, like any physical activity, being an instrumentalist requires a lot of different pressures on your various muscles, and I think it's important that you warm them up before you get to work. So I just thought it'd be interesting for me to tell you about the routine that I've developed over the years that I find works very well. One of the excuses that I hear a lot of times in people who avoid warming up is that they say that all of the various exercises that you might do in a warm-up routine will be present in the etudes and in the pieces, things like scales and double stops. But the reason that it's so crucial to play scales and to play warm-up exercises is because they are void of emotions. Pieces and etudes often have melodic phrases and things like that, which sort of make us feel things, make us get into the music. And the second that happens, you are no longer paying attention to warming up your muscles. You're now performing, semi-performing. And that sort of defeats the whole purpose. My warm-up routine, I call it the finger yoga. This is mainly talking about the left hand warm-up. And the idea behind this is that you take your muscles and you warm them up and stretch them out gradually. So the first thing that I do is I play a scale. What I would recommend is for you not to stick to the same scale every day, because what that does is you warm up your muscles in a very certain way every day, and then it becomes uncomfortable to play in other keys. So I would definitely switch it up. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is putting on a metronome. You want all your fingers to land at the same pace so that everything is very methodical. So usually I would place the metronome at 60, and I would start slow. So I would start 2 notes per bow, and each bow getting 4 beats. One thing that I want to mention is that when I warm up, when I place my fingers in the left hand, I really want them to land calmly, not slap them down to try to, force the good intonation. First of all, that jerky motion creates tension in your hand, and it's a great way to cause pain and eventual injury. So you really want to develop this slow, calm, relaxed placement of the fingers. And the other reason is when you place your fingers slowly, it creates this sort of paranoia inside of you, whether or not you'll land in the right place. It triggers the inner ear, and you hear the pitch that you think is about to come out when you place your finger. And if you place your finger slowly, and the pitch that you hear in your inner ear is the same pitch that's produced when you place your finger, that means that your intonation is good. And if you place your finger and the note is wrong, that's a great indicator that your sense of intonation is actually off, and it's a great opportunity to work on that. So if you hear that it's out of tune, lift it, go back to the previous note, place it slowly again, and adjust. If it was sharp, make it a little lower. If it was flat, make it a little higher, and try to get it in tune 3 times in a row, and then continue on. But never slap the fingers down, because it sort of defeats the whole purpose. You're not warming anything up that way. Then once you've played the scale once or twice at that pace, and you're satisfied with the intonation, you can increase the speed to 4 notes per bow. And then you do 8 to a bow, so each beat gets 2 notes. And then you want to increase it 16 to a bow, and then eventually in 1 bow. So that's one way of slowly increasing the demand from your muscles. So once you've done the scale, you want to go on and practice arpeggios. That's another great opportunity to practice shifting. The same way that I place my finger is the same way that I shift. I don't want to shift with a fast jerking motion. I want my shift to be in line with the speed of my bow. I don't want my shift to be dramatically faster than my bow, because that creates tension in the forearm, which then also can cause a lot of pain. You want to develop a calm, relaxed shift, because that, when it's relaxed, that's when you can actually shift quickly. If you're doing it very jerky, you won't be able to play it quickly, because you'll be spasming, as opposed to the very smooth motion. So first you want to do, because it's in groupings of 3, we're now going to divide the bow into 3 instead of 4. So each note gets one. First you want to do 3 to a bow, where each click gets 1 note. And then you want to do 9 to a bow, where each click gets 3 notes. So so on. A lot of times when you practice arpeggios, the first thing that you want to try to do is hide the shift, and in this case I would not worry about that. I would allow your hand to really find the 3rd position, and then relative to your 1st finger, find the 3rd finger. Allow for the warm up of shifts to also occur. Don't expect the shift to be performance mode as you're warming up. Allow for it to be relaxed. The next thing is to keep layering it, keep adding the difficulties. The next thing is to practice double stops. So you could start with 2 to a bow, then grow to 4 to a bow, then if you want to do 8 to a bow, then you go on and do octaves. So you see what we're doing is we start out small, we quicken the fingers individually, then we thirds, then we stretch to octave. Then once you've done the octave, what I continue on to do is fingered octave, because that continues to stretch the hand. I actually don't play some specific scale with the fingered octave, just because I feel like that's a bit too much of a strain right from the start. But what I've developed is just a basic pattern. And I do that pattern just to kind of get those joints to move. And then once you've done 2, you can just do 1. And what I would suggest is definitely crossing the strings, because each set of strings has a different feel to it, especially in the elbow and the position of the hand. And so you really want to try and warm up the hand in all those various positions. Then once you've done fingered octaves, you continue the stretch to tenths. And I do a similar sort of scale. And the key to this is, again, to be very quiet with the stretch. Don't force the stretch, because it's a great way to get injured. The other secret to tenths is to always try and stretch down from the 4th finger. Don't try to stretch up from the 1st finger, because somehow that stretch just doesn't work as well. And same thing on the next. And so on. So that really gets you going, and very quiet, very gentle. You can do it a few times. And the other thing is, remember, you're not performing for anybody, right? You're warming up. It probably is not going to sound that great because you're cold. So don't try and get emotional or get frustrated with how it sounds. The whole point is to develop this ritual of warming up. Then after I've done the tenths and the muscles are starting to get looser, I also warm up my vibrato. So I take in 3rd position, which for me is kind of like neutral territory. and I try and warm up that joint right there. So what I do is I just go, I place it, and then I just collapse onto it like that, just to really get all the cobwebs out. Then once I've done all fingers, I then warm up my wrist vibrato. So and then I'd go through the same cycle with a more arm vibrato. Then once you've done that, you're more or less ready to start working on various etudes and various pieces. Sometimes I also have certain etudes that also help me warm up, Schroedic finger dexterity exercises. If you play Paganini, the second caprice is great. That stretch right there is great if you can do it calmly and really relax your hand into it, like yoga. If you kind of force yourself to do certain things with your muscles will contract and they won't let you. But if you relax and you really kind of stretch for it, these stretches are really good to get your hand going. And then once you've gone through that, you're pretty much ready to play anything. And this ritual will allow for you to maintain a standard for yourself in the quality of playing. And in addition, a lot of times, people aren't playing concerts every day. And if you don't have anything to practice for, a lot of times you just don't practice. And that's a really detrimental thing to your technique, because like any physical activity, if you don't maintain it, it goes away. So if you don't have a concert coming up, this warm-up routine, if you manage to do it daily, which literally takes like 30 minutes, it will really help you maintain that standard for that moment when you do get called for a concert and you have to quickly get into shape. So I hope that this helped. And I hope that for those of you who don't warm up, I've sort of given you some things to think about, and I hope that you consider to actually begin warming up before you start playing. And if you have any other warm-up routines that you do that you'd like to share, please leave a comment in the comment section and subscribe to the channel. I hope to put up more videos throughout the year. It's kind of a New Year's resolution for myself to do more of these sort of conversational videos. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a safe and warm first few weeks of the new year. See you later.